Yo, 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 welcome back to the Out the Box Show. I'm John Wallace alongside my co-hosts James Luffy and Rory Luke. And wow, what a week of sports. The LSU Spring Game was this past Saturday. Great to see the Tigers back in Tiger Stadium. LSU baseball almost won the series against South Carolina, but ended up having a disappointing Saturday doubleheader. We'll get to that in a little bit. Also want to clean up some house always wins picks from the week. The RBC Heritage was this past weekend. Me and Luffy bet on it. We didn't fare too well, but we have some really strong picks coming back.
Sorry, we always win one.
Yeah, so because the house in one way or another always wins. So before we get to all that, we want to give a huge shout out to the home of the Out the Box podcast, the Boot Crew Media Network. It's power move after power move. I say it every week, and I'm going to keep saying it because you need to know that bootcrewmedia.com and all of the social media accounts are where you will be entertained for hours. There are so many podcasts and articles and surveys and just things to keep you occupied for day in and day out. I promise you, if you go on the Boot Crew Media Instagram, boot_crew_media, you will have constant entertainment. That's where all the stuff gets posted, and on bootcrewmedia.com. Make sure to check them out. Also want to give a huge shout out, and I want to say, before I say the sponsor, that I'm a terrible, sponsor-y, because I think last week on the show we agreed while we were doing the ad for Rally Cat Brewing that I was gonna at some point or another stop by and pick up some Rally Cat beer to place as kind of a centerpiece for our studio, and I forgot, and I want y'all to know that I'm sorry. But on, I believe it was Friday, Rally Cap dropped, like I called it, Hakuna Matata. I don't care how it's pronounced, Rory. I'm gonna say it. Hakuna Matata, got no worries. All right.
I watched that movie like 2 nights ago.
Yes, it's fantastic.
The live action version.
And what if I told you that Rally Cat posted another kind of throwback of Shoeless Joe Jackson, posted his stats, how many hits he had. It was a famous series in the 1919 World Series, and he had a very great performance, and they just
Do you know what baseball movie Shoeless Joe Jackson's in?
Little Big League. I don't know.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Because of the White Sox scandal, and they couldn't play, so then they came and played at the Field of Dreams.
If you come, they will play. No, if you build it, they will come. But anyway, Rally Cap at the end of their post said, "Oh, we're open today till 8. Stop by and grab some Moogie's Juice or Hakuna Matata." Why are we telling you this? Stay tuned. Clearly another beer being dropped in honor of Shoeless Joe Jackson. So make sure to check out Baton Rouge's upcoming brewery off of Segan Lane and Industriplex, Rally Cat Brewing. Follow them on all social media. All right. We have a very special guest coming on the Out the Box show. He is LSU professional hitter and a good friend of the show, Mr. Chris Reid. We now welcome on to the Out the Box show a very special guest, former professional hitter for the LSU Tigers, Mr. Chris Reid. And Chris, before we get into this year's Tigers and whatnot, I want to go ahead and ask you. So I saw you Friday night, I believe, and this was right after LSU's Friday night game got postponed to Saturday, and they had announced that it was going to be 2 7-inning games, a doubleheader. And as soon as I asked you, I said, what are your thoughts on the 7-inning? And you knew where I was going with the question, and you were just absolutely against it. Like, I did not know you were that passionate about it. And I had also seen Jared Foster that night, and he said the same thing. What are your thoughts on the 7-inning doubleheaders?
Well, I've never been a fan of the double headers. Definitely not 7 innings. Just because it's not natural. It's we are creatures of habit. Definitely athletes. And And whatever, coach has a big philosophy on keeping routine. So it transfers to the players. And I didn't like it when I played, even before making it to LSU. I never really liked double headers in general. But the preparation, the whole schedule of your normal pregame stuff is all thrown off. So that's one thing I don't like. Two, I don't like the fact that it basically shortens the game up. It makes, not that this is a way to you shouldn't be looking at it, but your first three innings are that much more important. They're more important than a 9-inning game. Not saying a 9-inning game first 3 innings aren't important, but yes, but it shortens it down. And then if for a hitter, if the pitcher is rolling, right? If the pitcher is dealing, it's hard he's going to go a complete game at that point. Easy. They're not going to get you. You're not going to be able to get to the bullpen as you would like to. So it poses a couple different issues. And I know a lot of people don't know this, but for doubleheader games on like Sunday, as it was, the first game was 11 o'clock, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to get there 4 hours before game time, or 4.5 hours before game time.
I did not know
So that's one of the biggest problems. That's what I was trying to, emphasize on this routine is, usually if you're playing at a 2:00 game on Sunday, you're not showing up till, 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's normal. That's a normal time. And now you're having to wake up at, almost 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to get there. So, it poses a couple of those problems and things of that nature. So I just didn't really like it. Plus, depending on how that first game goes in kind of carrying over to what happened on Sunday for the Tigers. If you lose that first game, it is extremely hard to get mentally prepared for that second. Definitely if you lose it like the way they lost it.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It was just it seemed like the one big inning for South Carolina won them the whole series.
Yeah, one inning won 14 innings, which ended up being 2 games. Won the series for the other team, just 1 inning.
And like you said, it's such a long day. They're there all day. They think they've won the first game. That happens, and then they've got to roll straight into the second game with a shorter warm-up routine.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It really is tough. The starting pitcher for the second game is not going to get his normal warm-up routine in. Now it's obviously it's similar for both pitchers from each team, but obviously if you lose that first one, it's so much more important. The second one is, and any slight difference, you would hope they could overcome it, but the situation that happened on Sunday, that's a tough one to overcome. It doesn't really matter who you are,
So Chris, it seemed like the excitement for this year's LSU baseball team was at an all-time high, especially since the season got canceled last year and LSU came out the gate in non-SEC play, hitting the ball like crazy. I mean, it was something that it seemed like LSU hadn't done in a very long time. And I guess my question would be the LSU's adjustment that they had to make, right? So they hit non-SEC pitching very well. And then all of a sudden SEC pitching came along. They still hit well in some of the games, but I guess as a professional hitter, how difficult is that transition once SEC play starts to adjust to the better pitching and I guess higher speed too?
Yeah, well, this is very different because whenever I was there, everybody would, bitch and complain about us not winning the non-SEC games or the midweek games is what everybody calls them, right? We didn't hit that that level of pitching very well. We hit the harder pitching better. So the SEC pitching we did completely fine against normally. So to answer that question, I don't know what it's like to switch the speeds. I mean, to a degree I do, but like I never hit postseason. I mean, I never hit pre-SEC pitching very well personally. I never did. And as a team we didn't. But the speeds are a little complicated to go off of. But you have to think that the biggest problem for going down in speed, like us playing a UL Ilm or a ULL or anybody, that's not just rolling guys out there throwing 92, 95, is the fact that every day before practice for about 2 hours or an hour and a half, during practice, and then whatever warm-up session you have hitting wise, you're going off a machine that is set at like 92. So each player is probably getting at least 200 swings or at least 150 to 200 swings a day off of 92. So you become, like I said, creature of habit earlier. I mentioned that you get your timing and everything's situated for that speed. It's not very hard to go up from 92 to 95 or 96, but it does make it harder to go from 92 to 88, 87. And then once you drop below really 87, that's when it becomes difficult to be able to sit back. It's just you just get so antsy because your body is so accustomed to having its load stride on time for a 92-ish mile-an-hour fastball. So that's really the biggest part, is being able to hold yourself back or even get in sync with the pitcher that happens to be slower. So that's where that kind of becomes a problem. Now, whenever you get into SEC play and you start facing, going from a midweek to a SEC team on the weekend, not that big of a deal. Like I said, you're built basically as an athlete at that point in your life and in your career, you're built to hit that speed. So you have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like your body is really at that point is yearning for that speed, because when you go from 85, 86, whatever it may be, it's just very foreign to you. So once you get a hold of that, and it's all good from there. So but like you mentioned, they very much surprised me because they broke that trend of hitting slower pitching or lower level pitching in the midweek and the pre-SEC play. And I'm sure it did everybody. Everybody was pretty happy with how they were putting the ball. They started leading the country in home runs, and that's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, in a perfect world, we want to hit pre-SEC pitching and SEC pitching the same. Right? And very hard to do. But
so
that's
okay. Yeah, sorry. So a guy at work, he actually mentioned this, and generally when LSU starts struggling at the beginning of the season and they're waiting to kick things up and hit this stride that seems like it happens every year, a guy at work mentioned, he said, you'll know when LSU is about to hit its stride when Coach Maneri starts throwing BP, because he puts a little more hum on the ball and kind of zips it in there a little bit more, and that seems to be when LSU starts to hit better.
Yeah, so he does. So we have him and Nate Fury, right? Nate is what a lot of people don't like to hit off of him, in the game or in practices. He throws the ball. He throws the ball. He's probably the hardest BP thrower in the SEC because he's a former pitcher and he has like that. I'm not going to say like little man syndrome. Little.
Yeah, definitely don't say that.
But he'll try to compete with us, which I like. That I liked hitting off him. Some guys didn't, but like before a game, I mean, he's sitting from 40 feet away, maybe 40 feet away. He's throwing 75 miles an hour so it's equivalent to 95 from that distance. So, he's challenging you as a hitter. And, but touching back to, Maneri, yeah, he kind of would do the same because he would like try to assert his dominance on you. Right. So like he's sitting up there, you imagine him sitting up there and he's rearing back and he's like throwing it, as hard as he can.
He just got that zip on the ball.
He does. He actually does have kind of a live arm, even for his age.
Well, he's already in a uniform. Like, trot him out there if the bullpen gets in trouble.
You can see the angry side in him when he gets like when he's walking out to the umpire, he gets that quick step in him, like the 1-2, like he's walking fast, like he's got something to say.
Well, look, you hit against him and you're not successful, and it'll piss him off real quick. He gets furious. He's like at the same time, it's weird because like he expects you to do well against him, but then if you don't, he just gets pissed. And then he'll make you sit there, and it doesn't matter if it takes 30 pitches, and he'll throw his arm off if it means you finally like overcoming him and actually hitting the ball off of, or like getting a good hit off of him. So, but he can throw it, and yeah, he will later on in the season. He will do that, and so whoever made that, that's actually very accurate. So he throws mostly in the back end of the season, which is when they normally get hot. So.
Chris, who would you start at second? I mean, there's been a couple different guys, Collier, Zach Arnold. I think tonight it's Bianco. I mean, I think that's a question that they've been trying to figure out pretty much all year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably in the same boat trying to figure out exactly who I would start there. If I was the coach, it's difficult, right? Because he obviously likes defense first.
Yeah,
that's fine. A lot of people do. That is a position that you have to have defense at. More so than maybe a third base or something like that. But up the middle, you have to have a solid defensive guy. But, without looking at their stats too much, I mean, like, I don't know too much of their stats, but I have them actually pulled them up before. It, obviously Cranford and the other guy that are not doing that well. I definitely, if you ask them, I bet you they would say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They're just not performing. I'm not saying that they're not good enough. They're obviously good enough. They would not be there. But whether it be mental, which I'm sure it is at this point, whether it be mental or something else, it just hasn't clicked, unfortunately. If I had to choose who to play at second base, I mean, I'd probably push Gavin. I'd probably push Dugas back to second. See, when I was there, he did have some defensive problems, but now, I mean, if you're putting Bianco there, which I don't mind Drew there. I don't mind any of the guys they put there. I mean, they're all capable of playing, well at that position. But I just feel like if you take Gavin in there, you can then replace the outfield spot with somebody that may be more serviceable than what they're getting. And I'm sure, obviously Coach, I'm sure, is looking at, into those things right now. And obviously you would like to have every position, stabilized at the beginning of the season before and fall and, things like that. But that's not always the case. There's always those late risers that are going to, you have the guys that come in and they're going to perform right away. But then you also have some of those guys, usually younger guys, that come in and they don't really understand the ropes until, maybe midway through the season. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see who's going to separate themselves, because right now nobody's separated themselves. And really they're just trying to try people out. I'm from me knowing Coach, I'm assuming he's going to keep playing them until somebody catches on, like somebody gets hot, and then he's going to ride them until he doesn't, and then they'll switch them out. And if they have to keep rotating, they'll rotate. So
So you had mentioned, so if they were to put Dugas at second, a guy that Coach Maneri had really looked at going to the outfield from first base was Beloso, and now him being pretty much strictly a DH this year. I don't even know if he's made it to the field, maybe in later innings or whatnot, but how has that affected him? And early on, his batting average was pretty low to start the year, and I think I heard Lynn Rollins tonight before we started recording. He said he's 10 for 20 in his last 20 at bats, so batting 500 recently. But I guess not being in the field, and I guess not being in the flow of the game, how much does that affect his mindset throughout the game?
Yeah, no, it honestly, it affects it a lot. Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, I think he was still getting used to it. Kind of like how I just mentioned a minute ago about, sometimes there's younger people that kind of they don't know the ropes or understand how to go about their time with what they're going after. And it's kind of similar for him. This is the first year not playing a position, right? So he's learning. During the fall, he played a position. So it's really, he's learning how to do this in game, which is difficult, right? Doesn't matter who you are, it's going to be hard. And so he is learning the ropes of how to be a DH, which the hardest part about being a DH or even a pitch hitter and things like that is really the focus. You have to be focused the entire game because you never know when you're going to be called, right? And so you have to understand how to stay warm. You have to, a lot of them will go in to the tunnel or the locker room and they'll do dry swings maybe every 2-3 innings or something like that. There's certain things that you can do. But I think he just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look on time. He didn't look synced up with the pitcher. And that's something that obviously he can do and has done in his LSU career. So it was only a matter of time for me when I'm watching. I only assumed it was a matter of time before he got comfortable and he started to turn things on, which he's done. He's been big in the Kentucky series. He was big in the series last weekend and the midweek games recently. So, I wasn't really too worried about it, but, obviously they've done a lot of work with him hitting wise. And yeah, I think he could be a serviceable guy in the outfield as well. At this point, there's a lot of things that they can try if they really wanted to. Another crazy one would be Beloso at first and take Trey Morgan, throw him in left field, and take Dugas to second. Like that. It
doesn't even sound that crazy.
Yeah, but it's not.
Right.
That's like probably the most off the wall one that you would find. But it's very doable because Trey is just, he's such a good athlete. You could throw him out there and he would be fine. Or you could just throw Beloso out there in right field and take Cruz over to left field and see what he can do over there. But I know, it gets a little complicated once you get up in there, but I guess that's what they're trying to do in game. So it makes it even that much harder. So, but hopefully Beloso will keep it up and continue his hot streak.
As a guy who has definitely had a lot of adversity throughout his LSU career, and this team has faced a lot of adversity, what are you looking for, or what are some things that you think this team needs to do to turn it around and make the NCAA tournament?
Does the K Lady or Chris Giat, do they need to scream louder? Do they need to throw stuff at y'all, popcorn? What needs to happen?
Yeah. No, I don't think they need to scream any louder. Most of the time we don't really even, as crazy as it is, because they are loud, right? And everybody in the stands hears them, but a lot of the times I can remember not really even, it's like you don't even pay attention to them, but that's because you're supposed to be zoned into the game. It's almost like tunnel vision. So I would, personally, look, at this point in time in a season like we've had right now, personally, you would want to see fight and grit and really, a positive attitude from the players. That's really the biggest thing that I'm looking for and want to see because, my junior year when we went to Corvallis as a 2-seed or whatever, we did not have a good year at all. Definitely not in LSU's terms, but even more so like the players itself. There were a lot of times where we felt lost as a team in terms of we didn't know, because we were not playing well and things of that nature. We didn't know if, some of the guys didn't really have the trust of some of the other guys on the team. And I'm not saying that's the case right now. I'm just saying for that team in particular, we had some guys that were questionable, I guess would be the the way to describe it. But there's a lot of guys that if you walked up to them and punched them in the face, they wouldn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's not, that was described to me as by one of our I guess assistants, you want somebody that if somebody goes up and disrespects you, like they're going to get pissed off about it and they're going to fight back and do something about it. Right. Cause that shows character. That shows that, you're not going to get pushed around. You're not soft, things like that. And so, for instance, I can think back, I think the other day, I think it was Arnold. He hit, forgot who it was against, but I think it was a midweek game too. And he got a hit and drove in a run. And he was like talking trash to the pitcher as he was running down first base. And I'm in my living room, just like fired up, like flexing, like fired up because I'm seeing this dude. Like, that's the type of stuff, not obviously you don't want to like do it too blatantly. Like you're not trying to make a spectacle out of it.
You don't want to flip the pitcher off like as you're running the first.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do that.
Was that Bo or Bryce? I think it was probably Bo.
That was Bo.
Yeah,
that was Bo. Yeah. Bryce. I don't think Bryce would do that. Yeah.
Is this team missing a Jordan brother? Is that the problem with this team?
I think this team, Chris, I honestly think this team's lacking a little bit of leadership. Someone like you, a dugout guy who's going to do his job when called upon. And he's always there firing the team up, and he's also in the game a lot, making plays. Like I think the team is missing someone like what you were.
Yeah, I mean, and that's possible. That's possible. I mean, look, without really being there, it's really hard to speculate. I have talked to a couple of the guys on the team, but I would never talk to them about these type of things. Definitely not in the middle of the season. You want to respect them. You want to respect.
Yeah, of course.
Season. So, I've talked to them about just hitting in general and some I guess philosophies on that side, but nothing. I'm not trying to dive too deep into it because whenever you're going through a hard season or a hard time, you don't, as an outsider, you don't really want to ask too many questions that dig too deep. You want to stay surface level. So I think like the last player I talked to was Beloso. I talked to him before the Kentucky series, and he was super positive. He told me they were going to bang. He was like, look, we're going to hit the crap out of the ball. So I was like, all right, dude, show me. And he backed it up. He did it, and they did it as well. So, I like that confidence. And hopefully they continue this. I know this past weekend was it was tough, really. But I thought they played well. Definitely in the first game, they played phenomenally in the first game, and hopefully they'll carry it on. I think they're winning right now. So, but yeah, so it's just got to grind through it.
So, Chris, I think kind of as we wrap up the interview, we were talking, about your career before we started interviewing. We were getting our notes together, and I think Rory brought up, he brought up how you were, and it's funny that you mentioned it during the, while we were asking questions, is your focus at the plate. And I think he brought up one instance in the SEC tournament of an example of that.
Yeah. So 2019, probably the worst college baseball play I think most people have ever seen by Auburn. You're standing. I don't think I've ever seen a batter stand in the box better than you. It was beautiful. It was beautiful textbook baseball play. Every baseball fan over the age of 60 loved the way you stood in the box and stood your ground while they were just searching for the ball between your legs. You just weren't this is my spot and I'm not moving.
And I think the statute of limitations is up. You can admit now enough time has passed that you kicked the ball on purpose.
Oh gosh, look, I deny till I die at that point, right? Yeah, but no. First off, I got to give a shout out to Rankin Woolley for that one, the ex-teammate.
That was a revenge game.
Revenge game that he completely botched, and I got a front seat view of that. Like I was, oh man, I mean, honestly, I mean, I pitch hit in that situation.
We just watched a video, bottom of the ninth, second and third, like one out, you pinch hit.
Yeah, so I pitch hit and not feeling good at all, right? Swing's not feeling good. I was like, shit. I was like, I'm about to have to go up here and hit. So, pressure situation. I handle pressure very well, but it's different when you are in a pressure spot and you're very confident in what you feel good. I was not feeling good. So I was not super confident, but I told coach I was, so that's why he put me in there. And he was like, he's like, I'm going to give you a shot. Are you going to do it? I said, yeah, I got it, coach. Like, don't worry about it. I'm good. And so he told me that before the inning. So then a little bit, like about 5 minutes before that whole scenario occurred, he came back down there. He's like, you sure you got it? I said, coach, don't worry about me. Go back to the and meanwhile I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, damn. So it happened. Luckily they came with a left-handed pitcher, which made me feel even more uncomfortable. Little lanky dude, he was goofy, and so he threw a slider into the dirt, whatever, spiked the fastball. So it was like 2-0, I think, and so I start feeling like a lot better. And then he spikes the next one, catcher blocks it, and I'm standing there, and I just see the ball like on the ground, like near my feet. And so I would like put my hand up for the guy to hold up. And then the dude just like is spazzing, like he's just freaking out. Like, I don't understand what his problem was. I mean, they're winning the game and like no problem, but he's like starts freaking out. I just remember him like, just he didn't have a clue what was going on. And he threw his mask off, his hair's all over the place. I know he had longer hair. And once he like took a step back, I kind of started to like laugh inside because I realized like he really didn't understand where the ball was at all, but it was just standing right here, like in plain sight. So then I started to like kind of, do this with my hand, like telling our runner to come. And then once, the play developed and broke, all hell broke loose, that's when I started waving him home. And like you said, I stood there. I wasn't going to move because, well, one, if I did move, he probably would have saw the ball.
Yeah, 100%. If you move, we probably like, I mean, who knows what happens, but it doesn't end that way for sure. He sees the ball if you move.
So, and then he ended up kicking it. Let's just say that. He ended up kicking it.
Right.
And and then that's when I really started like coming home. But even when our guy slid in, I was still standing at home. Like I didn't even move. Like he could have got up and probably would have tackled him if I would have tackled him or at least celebrated. If you go back and watch it, I didn't even celebrate. Because whoever slid in, and maybe DeGiacomo, I can't remember exactly who it was, slid in and they jumped up and they actually landed on my calf and they cleated me and it like ripped my pants open and I started bleeding and I got pissed. Like I was like, what the heck? And so I just walked off, like I just walked off the field, everybody, and the cameras start running to me and I'm pissed. And I'm like, I'm like having to put on like a happy face and all this stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm happy we won, but meanwhile my leg's bleeding. I'm like, what? So, but hey, you know what? I got the RBI, the Tigers won, and the rest of it was history. So, that was a very fun situation, but a very obviously high pressure, and I had to focus really hard in that at bat. So, it ended up working out.
Well, Chris, we thank you for that play and for taking time out of your busy schedule. We know you're a busy guy. You do hitting lessons over or baseball lessons over at Traction. We heard you mention that on the Colada show, and you recently got a weekly shot on the Jordy Colada show. What is it, Mondays?
Yeah, Mondays. Usually from like I'll probably be on 7 to 7:30. It's usually up in there is when he has me on.
Yeah.
So,
well, make sure to check out Chris, the LSU's former professional hitter and an all-around great guy, a longtime friend. And Chris, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on the Out the Box podcast.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Thank y'all for having me. And look, I'll come back on and give y'all some stories y'all can have a chuckle at.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime.
Right.
We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Catch y'all later.
That was
Thanks,
awesome,
Chris.
Appreciate it, man. All right, we want to thank LSU professional hitter, Mr. Chris Reid, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come on the Out the Box show for an awesome interview. We love kicking things around with him. I've known Chris for a very long time, and we are happy that he is a part of the show. Make sure to check him out on the Jordy Colada Show weekly. All right.
Wait, did you know that back to before the Chris Reid interview, take a time machine, Shoeless Joe Jackson played for the New Orleans Pelicans.
What?
Back in the day.
The New Orleans Pelicans?
Yeah, like the baseball team.
Wow.
Wow. I didn't even know that
1910, they were the minor league team.
Good
That's why
stat
they're the
there,
New Orleans
was.
Pelicans.
I thought you were talking
Fun
basketball.
fact.
Fun fact.
I didn't know the NBA was around back
I'm full
then.
of fun facts.
But wow, that is a good fact. And hopefully it'll be a fact that I run by there and pick up that new beer that they're dropping. I don't have a name prediction yet. But our weekend recaps.
Shoeless Stout.
Shoeless Stout. Or it'll knock your socks off.
Ooh.
I don't know. That would be my guess. But before we get to our LSU South Carolina weekend series recap, we want you to know, not just me, we all do. We want you to know, I said it last week, Blaine is the best at what he does. Blaine Loop with Keller Williams Realty. He is hungry. He is starving. He is like, imagine yourself leaving Tigerland and you
see Big Cheesy in the distance?
2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Seriously, either way. And you're walking past, like you said, the Big Cheesy, maybe the House Bar. You can run in there and get a pizza on the way home, or Sonic.
Ooh, Sonic is solid. And there's a stall open too where you can just walk right up.
He's about to run up the score on the Sonic menu board. That is how hungry Blaine is.
He's been known to run up the score on the Sonic menu board.
That is how hungry Blaine is to help you out in finding the home of your dreams, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or even rent. He helps a lot of people find nice places to rent in good areas. And he, like I said, he wants to help. That's all he wants to do. And he also wants you to know that interest rates are at an all-time low and the real estate market has never been hotter. At the speeds these homes are selling right now, you need a certified professional. That's Blaine. He'll help you navigate your way to the house of your dreams. He'll be your friend, your neighbor, and your agent. Make sure to call or text Blaine Loop at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. That's 504-858-0031. Keller Williams is an equal opportunity housing partner. Each office is independently owned and operated. All right. LSU, South Carolina. Wow. Friday night, or no, it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. And Friday night we had our group text going and we kind of felt that LSU was going to come out hot.
Thursday night.
You
just clarified.
Sorry, I did. And they came out
it's moving
Friday
at lightning speed.
They came out. I know I'm trying. I'm rolling. I'm ready to go. They came out Friday night. Thursday night. Dang, dude, that's bad. But they absolutely dominated a team that was the number 11 team in the country when they came to Alex Box.
It was refreshing. It really was refreshing to
Felt
watch.
normal.
It really did. And like the box was rocking and you could feel that. And it felt like that was, we're going to turn this thing around. Like,
yeah, and Marceau pitched an absolute gem.
Jim only used 2 pitchers. Fontenot got a little shaky at the end. Thought he might give it up. He didn't. He pulled through. And then Friday night and the dreaded rain happened. And rain just killed us. Killed us against Tennessee. Killed us this weekend. We are just not. Rain is never on our side this year. It is not.
And it's just tough having to, I guess, like Chris Reid said in the interview, adjust your schedule to be able to play 2 7-inning games. And we really saw that. I mean, Labus pitched a hell of a game.
He pitched a great game
in the first game of the doubleheader. And if the game's 9 inning, who's to say that the game flow would have been different because of the routine? And LSU, you're going to have a bad inning every now and again. You're not going to throw a whole shutout game. Well, I mean, I'm not sitting here playing the what if game or not, but I think like Chris Reid said, he's absolutely right in saying that 1 inning cost us 14 innings of baseball
100%
on Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, we should have been able to push a couple more runs across in that game.
We should have.
We popped up 3 times with the bases loaded, no outs. A couple times, man on first and third, 1 out. We couldn't get anything across. That game probably should have been 5-6-0 heading into that last inning, which would have given Labus and the other pitchers who came in a little bit more comfort. And, I mean, ultimately, like he said, that 1 inning, everything went downhill from there, and then we just got crushed in the last game.
And I think if we play Friday night, we're completely different. We're looking at a series win. I think we pull off the win and probably win Thursday, Friday, maybe lose Sunday or Saturday. But
yeah, and in the third game too, I mean, the win got taken out of our sails so early. The first 2 batters down, walk, home run.
Yeah.
Game.
Oh, man. No, yeah, it was game. It really was. We had no hope.
So we're recording this during LSU's midweek game, and I want to just say a quick stat that Moscona said on the radio, I believe today. We're undefeated in midweek games, and there's a chance that we're not even going to make the NCAA tournament. There's a chance. So
the question's been answered.
I'm kind of starting to flip my opinion is that the only reason they do matter is for reps. And, as Chris said, the pitching speed, the whole game is different when you play these in-state schools. And we know that at LSU has the better athletes and the better facilities and everything. LSU is just going to be better. But hearing that stat today was kind of an eye-opener. Like, winning the midweek games doesn't mean a single thing if we don't string together. And, I mean, we haven't won an SEC series yet this year. I can't remember the last year.
Kentucky.
We won 1. I can't remember the last year that we've only at this point in the season won 1 series in LSU baseball. It's unheard of. And I don't know what that spark needs to happen. Maybe a signature series win, maybe going up to Ole Miss and winning 2 out of 3. I don't know at this point, but it's not going to be an easy task going up to Oxford this weekend.
Yeah, and I think, so we have 4 series left: Ole Miss, Arkansas, Auburn, Alabama, Auburn.
Do we play A&M?
And A&M. Okay, so there's winnable series in there. I mean, Alabama's okay, Auburn's okay, Texas A&M is okay, but I think to be in that tournament conversation and to be where we want to be, we need to at least get at very minimum a win this weekend.
And Ole Miss is coming off a very emotional series against State. I don't know if y'all saw any videos from that, but how awesome were those videos of Duty Noble just rocking. 15,000 people hanging over the boards, banging it. I mean, if we could have that type of atmosphere here, and I mean, part of the reason we can't this year is because of the rules, but also the way their administration has gotten their students involved and going to the games. It's like a football game. People go in town just for the games, and they go there and they tailgate. It's just completely different atmosphere that I really wish we could form here.
It comes from, first off, State brand new stadium there, and they kind of
in the old stadium, it was like is really where it got developed.
And
atmosphere.
they built the stadium at a perfect time. You know, college baseball is really booming, especially at Mississippi State, and it was built at the perfect time. Another thing is what's always hurt LSU, and we tweeted about this, is the fandom around LSU baseball is so big amongst, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but like older people or older fans. It's such a tradition, LSU baseball.
Well, your grandparents were on the
The
TV
reason we won
broadcast the
Thursday
other day.
night.
Yeah.
It's such a tradition that it's hard for them to be willing to give up spots for students. Like they give you the diamond deck, and the diamond deck kind of gets a little, like, it gets fun sometimes, but it really is hard to create that Ole Miss level or Mississippi State level atmosphere.
You just feel like you're not separated when you're a student in there. And whenever you're at Ole Miss or Mississippi State, it's completely different. You're like separate. You're out there. There's like no rules.
Exactly.
And the administration kind of like lets it happen. And listen, that's been a big part of their baseball programs growing over the last 15 years. State and Ole Miss both. I mean, they've historically been pretty solid, but I mean, they have grown a ton lately, and if you go to one of those games up there, you would want to go play baseball there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like the student section at LSU, you know, on the outer edges, it's usually pretty calm because you're sitting close. But if you're in the jungle, if you're in the middle of the student section at a football game, like, it's anything goes. And you never really get that at a baseball game. You're not far enough. And it's kind of like, you feel just like a casual, you're a regular fan, you know, you don't feel like, oh, this is a student section. It just feels like you're
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
you're a regular fan.
Yeah. And they've got to do a better job of trying to create some type of atmosphere. I mean, they're going to have to commit to it if they want it to happen. But I mean, we could sit here and talk about this all day.
Yeah.
Ole Miss lost to Mississippi State last weekend, the number 2 team in the country, behind maybe number 1 team in the country, them or Arkansas or Vandy. But they are probably seeking revenge this weekend on us, because I know they don't like to lose to their rival.
Yeah, and I mean, they're coming in with a solid 1-2 punch. Gunnar Highland Friday night, right-handed pitcher, and Doug Nikhazy Saturday night. Well, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so Friday night for Doug Nikhazy. And I think this would probably be the best left-handed pitcher we've seen all year. Doug Nikhazy, nasty. You got a full 4-pitch mix, throws a nasty curveball. It's gonna be tough to hit. We haven't really seen very good left-handed pitching all year. So it's going to be a tough series for the Tigers 100%.
So I agree with that 100%. And we kind of asked Chris Reid what we need to, I guess, spark this LSU team. And since nobody's been able to come up with a really good, solid answer, I'm going to come up with something, a rally salt. I'm going to sit here. I'm gonna crack this thing. We're all gonna breathe it in. We're gonna it's gonna wake us up. It's gonna channel all of our old interviews to I guess spark this team from the inside out, out the box, inside out. And
you know what he was talking about, like a punch in the face. Like if somebody gets you, that's a punch in the face. This is essentially
a punch in the face.
That's a punch in the face.
So the rally salt is going to be, I think I might get a plaque for it. I'll make one. I'll get like a little business.
Hold on to that salt just in case we win the series. It could be the turning point.
So there it is right there. We're gonna put it in a nice little container and do a nice little engraved metal thing. I think Rory's gonna go get that made for us. But so all right, so rally salt. That's it. All right. Luffy, as we kind of I guess clean up our LSU baseball talk for the week, could we use some help getting things cleaned up from our
Yeah, we could, John. So Rory said he was in the
I was gonna throw him the alley after the spring game talk. I was gonna do like a tailgate. So don't worry about it. Just go.
Blew it.
Just go.
That's the downside of recording live.
Of course, you need Workbox. It's a company that provides plenty of different things. You got dumpsters, you got portable toilets, you got shipping containers, you got containers for construction if you're building or redoing a house. And they have luxury restroom trailers for big parties. We got football season kind of coming up. We just had the spring game.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
We're going to get to that in a minute. But if you have a big tailgate or party, you got to call Martine at Workbox. They're the best in the business. They have the cleanest potties, and you can call them at 888-528-1605, which I think is a different number than what I normally give.
Yeah, you give a 225 number.
But it is on there. It is on the Google.
So basically, we're doing a horrible ad saying, yeah, just Google the number and call it. But
I mean,
honestly,
he gave you the number.
No, I'm getting that from Google is what I'm saying.
Well,
Yeah.
Google's really messing us over. But the point is not the phone number. You can get the phone number. The point is
the porta potty.
cleanliness
The point is the porta potty.
and other things, but mainly the porta potty that apparently y'all have, as we were doing this ad read, y'all have said that y'all sit on it bare ass.
Cleanest in the South.
Never-
Cleanest in the South. You got to call Workbox 225-382-5250.
Beautiful. 2 phone numbers.
2 phone numbers.
I got
If one doesn't
2
answer, call
That's
the other.
service.
phones. All right. So the LSU Spring Game was this past weekend. It was right smack dab in the middle. That's another reason why we shouldn't like doubleheaders. That was the game was during the spring game.
It was a dual screen type of day.
It was a dual screen. I had my laptop up watching the spring game, and I had my TV on the baseball game.
So I think, and for me, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts, but the a surprising thing, and I listened to Coach O this morning on Off the Bench, and he said that I believe he said our O-line looks absolutely incredible. But I think the kind of a concerning stat is the 6 sacks that were given up by the offensive line.
Yeah, let's go through the positions. We can start with O-line and then we'll do quarterback last. But I thought
you have like a soliloquy right
I
there
actually thought
of
the
notes.
I actually thought the O-line played well. A couple sacks maybe on the quarterback, a couple coverage sacks, I thought.
Yeah.
But Rosenthal looked good. Deculus looked solid. It concerns me is a little bit in the run game. We weren't able to run the ball, which is partially due to running back. But I thought the offensive line, I'm not as worried about it. I know the public reaction wasn't good to it, but
I think that in a spring game, the offense is always going to be behind the defense, and especially at a position like offensive line. So offensive line not looking amazing during the spring game does not worry me at all.
yeah, and they've been going up against those guys all spring.
Exactly.
So sometimes they're going to get the best of them. They know each other's moves. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like it's really when the ones and ones are going at it. And honestly, I would like to see our D line get some pressure. Our D line should be pretty damn, be pretty damn good.
That's what I was going to say. Our D line's no schmucks either. Like we're very solid at the point of attack on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, we can go ahead and talk about D-line. Ojulari and Roy were like the standout guys. I think that they kind of jumped off the screen, but it was nice to see some other guys getting in there. Guillory. Mason Smith didn't play much. He was on limited snaps, so didn't get to see much from him. Sony, number 53,
Mm-hmm.
he had a couple solid plays. Who else am I forgetting in that group? Oh, Ali Gay did not play. He was out for injury, but I think that group is very, very deep. There's a ton of guys that can play. I mean, you got Neil Farrell still back. You got Glenn Logan still out there. So you have guys there, and I think that's a position that we got what we expected.
It's probably the deepest position on the team, I would assume, is defensive line. I mean,
yeah,
there's just guys all over, good freshmen, good seniors, in between guys. We got guys on the outside, guys on the inside. I think that's going to be the strength of this team, and that excites me. I really think a good offensive line, a good defensive line is a game changer in every game we will play. It's one thing that always makes Alabama great is that those two, Alabama always has a good offensive line, always has a good defensive line. It makes them great.
Yeah. And so what about I guess as you move on, what about the secondary? I know a major goal of Coach O was to limit the big plays.
Yeah, so Ricks didn't play. He was out with an injury. McLaughlin came in and I thought played really well for him.
I thought so too.
He gave up with a one deep ball to Kayshawn when he came back, and Kayshawn really made a great play on the ball.
Yeah.
But was, I thought, good throughout the game, active. Jay Ward was playing safety for most of the game. I think he'll get better. Like they said, he still needs to work on the tackling a little bit. He kind of still looked like a corner, but
Yeah.
I thought they did their job. They were in the right spots for the most part. A couple of plays here and there. What'd you think?
I mean, I thought they looked good.
Stingley. I mean, he had the pick.
I think we definitely have a very good defense, and I think what you said, like the Jay Ward thing. He just needs to play that position a little bit longer. Get that summer under him, get that fall ball. But I think it's definitely looking up 100% compared to last year.
Yeah, and to move to linebackers, I was a little disappointed in the linebacker play. Small when you from Catholic High, when you have a walk on that is like the best player at that position on a day like that, it's a little bit concerning, right? I mean,
yeah, because there's always going to be.
And Bug Strong didn't play. They've been talking about him all. Bug Strong didn't play. We still haven't gotten Bakersfield back. I don't know if he'll be able to play.
Mike Jones didn't play,
and Mike Jones isn't even here, right, from Clemson yet.
Yeah, I don't think he's here yet.
So, that's I think you need, whether it's Bakersfield, Mike Jones, or Bug Strong, to step up if this defense is going to be elite. Because the linebacker play is it's going to have to improve. They still seem. I mean, like, Clark was okay at times, but he still seemed like he was a little reacting a little bit late to things.
Yeah, and I mean, love to see a walk-on play, but there's just athletic limitations there that aren't going to be. And they're diminished at linebacker, because linebacker is, you can be a hard-nosed guy and make the right reads and still play and play outside your athletic ability. But
a guy I've been wondering about there, Antoine's Samph. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right,
Sampson, or is it's something with an S. I agree.
And they don't talk about him at all. Like, they don't talk. I don't ever hear his name mentioned. And I whenever I went back and watched it, I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but most of the first half, and I was like trying to pick him out on that second team defense to see how he was doing. But like, he was highly rated. I think it was 4 or 5 stars. So
yeah, and some of those guys just get buried on the depth chart.
And I mean, new
DC,
DC, they take a couple years, and so hopefully a guy like that will continue to develop. But I think that's a position of concern for sure. I mean, I think it's going to have to get better for the defense to be elite.
Another position of concern for sure on the offensive side of the ball, and something that Coach O talked about he's talked about recently over the last couple of weeks, is wide receiver.
Yeah, wide receiver. I mean, I thought you were going to say running back there, but wide receiver for sure. I think you need a surefire number 2, to step up. I thought going into the game, that was the thing I was looking at. A lot of people, we have a lot of talent there, but I really think besides Butte, if one of these freshmen comes in and balls out, whether it's Hilton or Smith, then they're going to have a real shot at starting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if and this can happen over the summer, but like Coy Moore doesn't seem to be all the way there yet. John Trey Kirkland had a great game.
Yeah.
But like, will they put him out there with the ones on Saturday in the fall? I don't know, because it seemed like last year he would get in. He was kind of in and out for most of the time, and maybe he'll take the next step. But I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not concerned, but I think there's definitely room for another elite player to step up. And you saw it. We're gonna have 3 first-round wide receivers when Terrence and Jamar get drafted in next week. That's 3 first-round wide receivers on that team. Like, you need that type of guys to go against the best of the best.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody's going to sit here and say that wasn't the strength of the team. It probably was the deepest position on that team. There's 100% athletes. There's never a lack of athlete at wide receiver. I mean, we recruit wide receivers really well, 4 or 5-star guys. So it's all about just taking that next step. And like you said, hopefully we can see somebody there.
Running back.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Like the running.
We had no running game. I mean, we had no running game pretty much throughout the game. I think TDP bust out a couple big runs. He was our only, I think, scholarship running back for the game. And I mean, actually, Coy Moore played a little running back, so that could be also slowing his development at receiver if he's getting more reps there. But hopefully Emory's healthy soon, because these guys are having to they're having to learn a new playbook. And the offense, if we want to talk about scheme a little bit, it's going to look more like it did in 2019, and the running back's going to have to be involved. He's going to have to block run and catch the ball out of the backfield. And if we don't have someone to do that, I don't know if the offense can be like truly elite, even though I think they're still going to be really good.
And that's another position where I really think that you're going to have to see a freshman maybe step up and take some snaps. Somebody like Armani Goodwin or Corey Kiner.
Yeah.
And Corey Kiner's a guy that was, I mean, he's been LSU commit for a long time. And a guy that they've really liked. So you're going to need to see one of those two running backs, maybe not take a starting role, but be able to be that third back behind Emory and Davis Price, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, just finding a reliable back that can do the three things you need them to do is gonna be tough, and we're gonna need to make it happen.
All right, so the quarterbacks, that's the big thing. Who separated themselves on Saturday, and who, as hard of a thing as this to say, who's transferring?
I'll let y'all go first, and I'll go last in the QBs.
I mean, I think this is probably the deepest quarterback room we've had in a very long time.
No, like it is.
Yeah, and it's really the only true quarterback competition we've had in probably the last. I mean, maybe I can't really give it to you, but I would think probably since like Jefferson is probably since 2011, the first time we've had a real quarterback controversy to where or a competition to where we don't really know who's going to be that guy. And I think that's a good thing to have, especially with the two guys that we have, because I think they're both very talented. I mean, Max Johnson is a guy that a lot of people like, and
you okay?
And I think that is going to be very good. But I'm riding with our guy. He's been our guy since last year, and that's unchanging. I think Miles Brennan is QB1. The Slim Reaper, he's going to be my guy all the way. I think he starts the season. And I think he's going to, like he was about to do last year, he's going to prove people wrong. People that think that Max Johnson's better, he's coming out to prove like he's done his whole life. And he's going to be slinging the piss out the ball.
I think that's maybe what he needed. Somebody chasing after him to say, you know what, if you don't step up and show what you are capable of on the football field, I'm coming for you. And that's exactly what Max Johnson is doing. I think they both played very well. Obviously spring game they didn't show a lot, but I think those two are starting to separate themselves. I don't see Nussmeier, breaking through and being this miracle freshman quarterback. And Findlay, I'm not really sure he's doing what he has to do.
One thing I really hope doesn't happen, because it never works out for anybody, is they cannot take this competition into the season. It's got to be, you got to name a starter and you got to ride with them. It's not, oh, he had a bad drive, we're putting in the other guy. You take a starter and you ride with them. That's what hurt us in 2011 with Jefferson and Lee. We didn't ride with one guy. We kept flip-flopping. Snip, 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 snip. What movie is that from?
Yeah, and Coach O's talked about that a little bit. He said we got to have a guy go in there and get more reps with the ones, and you got to be comfortable with every single guy you're around, all 11 or 15 guys that play.
Yeah. So.
All right. So I'm going to go through all four really, but Nuss, you can see the bounce in his step. Really, he looked fun. That one time he shook Roy. They called it a sack. He shook Roy inside, ran out. Little sling to the right. It was nasty. I mean, you can definitely see the potential there. I'm excited to watch him in the future because I mean, he made some mistakes. He threw in some bad reads, but you can definitely see the talent there.
Yeah.
And he's different than the other three quarterbacks we have. TJ Findlay. I don't know if Findlay will be here starting in the fall. He has a big arm, and that's part of his problem at times. It was inaccurate. He makes good reads sometimes, and sometimes he throws a laser, but other times it's way inaccurate.
I think nobody's
and the balls get tipped, which is weird for someone who looks like he's like 6'7" out there a lot. And so I'm not sure if he's really ready to be the starter of this team. And like these two guys said, I mean, I think it's between Max and Miles. One thing I thought was so strange and would have frustrated me if I was Miles was He waited an hour before he stepped in that game.
Yeah.
An entire hour. And he was the last quarterback to play in the game. I thought that was crazy. He's been here for 5 years. I mean, the pressure he's got to be under to perform in this game. He knows everybody's watching. He knows whatever he puts on tape for these X amount of plays is going to be like his public perception throughout the entire summer. He's got a new OC. He's coming off a strange injury. Like, his spot wasn't easy. I mean, I'm sure he felt a lot of pressure going in that game, and then having to wait an hour to play. I don't know who made that decision. Horrible decision by Coach O there. I mean, he looked healthy. He says he's 100%. I don't know, but hopefully throughout the season summer he will get to 100%. And I thought he made decent decisions for the most part. He was somewhat accurate, but it was so weird. Like, you're not really able to get in a rhythm. And I think Miles is a rhythm guy and like someone who needs like just a little bit of confidence and a little bit of rhythm to get going.
And we saw that last year.
Exactly. You saw it last year.
The best game he had was a Missouri game where he got hurt.
Yes. I think really that offense was about to take off.
It really was.
Especially with Marshall still like in
playing,
it. Like, the offense was really about to take off. He really, it looked like over those 2 games, like how much better he had just gotten. Like, it was about to really all click for him. He was, he looked more comfortable in the offense. He knew where he was going. He was confident. So if he does end up being the starter, I think you'll see that. Like, I think it'll pick up, and by like game 4 when we're playing Mississippi State, like, he's going to be rolling, ready to go, command the offense. Like, he needs to get a little bit of swagger and some confidence, and like, he's going to be really good. He's got some things he needs to work on throughout the summer, and I'm sure he will. And hopefully he'll be 100%. I mean, he looks bigger out there.
He does
looks like he can take some hits. So I don't know if he'll be the quarterback, and it could be Max. And to talk about Max for a second, he struggled a little bit at first, like kind of got sucked in. The O-line didn't help him out much. And like we talked about earlier, our receivers didn't give Miles and Max the best opportunities, right? You saw Max score a couple times with the second team offense, but the guys are wide open that he was throwing to for the most part. I thought when he played with the first team, and for Miles too, like, you saw a bunch of balls like he tried to fit in there. Like, there was pretty much no gap, like no one was open for both of the 2 quarterbacks. And Max showed you why they like him a lot. His mobility. He gives you that like running game almost when we don't have it. Like, we didn't have it at the end. We had pretty much no running game at the end of last year. And so he was our running game.
He was.
And that's why they like him. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, but I think we have 2 good options. And like Rory said, we got to stick with one guy. And like, that's going to have to be our guy who's getting all the reps, and they're going to have to refine the offense to him. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I think if anything, that this game on Saturday opened up the idea that it's going to be an exciting rest of the offseason, summer, and leading up to the start of the football season. All right, hey, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to.
I'm just saying because we're taking a while.
No, he does.
You don't got to do that to me. I'll sit here.
All right, let's now get to the famous segment.
Famous segment in the show. Why don't you? You know what? We're going to do the House Always Wins segment.
All right.
Sponsored by who?
Sponsored by the House in Tigerland.
Tell us about the House Bar in Tigerland.
House Bar in Tigerland. Best pizza you'll find in Tigerland. You want to know why, John? Only pizza you'll find in Tigerland.
But that's not why it's the best.
Doesn't matter.
It's great.
Look, number one is still number one. Doesn't matter who your competition is. Go to the house. It's your home. Just go home. House Bar in Tigerland. Awesome place. You can catch John in there every other Saturday night, busting a move. Follow him on Twitter at Tigerland House, on Instagram and Facebook at House.
It's hard, isn't it?
Is it?
House in Tigerland.
House in Tigerland. I didn't know what the in-between word was.
Yeah.
All right, last week, House always wins. I won. I told you it was going to happen. It was rigged from the start. It was easy money. It was rigged. It was a fake boxing match. Barely punched Ben Askren, and he was out. Jake J. Paul, easy money. Again, we're back. Easy money. I'm giving you a twofer this week. One's my house always wins pick. One, I am hedging my house always wins pick. Usman versus Masvidal. Usman's winning the fight. Usman's kind of pissed because Masvidal was on a short rest last time. So Masvidal feels like if he had full rest, he would beat Usman. And Usman's kind of taking that to heart. Like, no, you wouldn't, because he wouldn't. Usman's 100% the better UFC fighter. Give me Usman by knockout plus 250. Give me that as my house always wins pick. I think Usman's going to come with a vengeance, and that's why he knocks him out. The more likely thing is Usman by decision minus 110. I will be taking both. I will put the larger units on the minus 110, but I still think that he probably hits a knockout. I like the knockout at plus 250 odds, and I like decision at minus 110. Take it either way. They're way better than Usman minus 400 like he is. Usman all the way. It's easy money. Masvidal's not touching.
All right. Last week I rode Poltz at the RBC Heritage Golf Tournament. Not really my thing. Poltz hadn't been playing good golf lately. I kind of knew it when I did it. He just hadn't been playing well lately. He ended tied for 48th in the tournament. Called him to do a top 10 finish. It was basically a heat check, and it was for my fire shot. So I'm starting over this week.
There's a heat check, and you miss the table by a mile.
Yeah, but that's what heat checks are. I'm actually going against you on the house always wins pick, Rory. I think Masvidal is ready to baptize Usman. I think Usman, without subtract him stomping on Masvidal's feet.
It wins.
What wins?
Stomping.
No, that's Bush League. I don't care what anyone has to say. I'll tell Usman that to his face. I think Masvidal is going to absolutely christen Usman, and I'm taking Masvidal with the money line plus 310. Luffy?
I'm picking golf this week. It's coming later in the week. Can't be picking these golf matchups early. Go Tigers.
How'd you do last week?
Loss. Rare loss, but it was a loss.
He talks for 20 minutes about football, and then he just shuts down.
I'm kind of pumped we're going against each other this week, John.
Yeah, well, you know one thing, the house is gonna win.
That is true.
I guarantee.
Unless there's a tie.
I guarantee if you take all, no, that ain't happening.
I agree though. If you took all three of our bets,
there's no way.
And you figured out the math on where you could become positive in any way, even if it's a couple dollars, you will be positive. Those are the only three outcomes.
Yeah, it's like some math. It's like Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah,
like you just write it on the chalkboard and really think about it enough, and you will be positive. But I think that does it for the House Always Wins segment and our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. We say it every single week. The tweets, the Instagram shares, seeing you guys wear a t-shirt or a hat absolutely makes our day. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at OutTheBoxPod, Instagram OutTheBoxPod, and on Facebook OutTheBoxPod. And check us out on bootcrewmedia.com, the home of the Out the Box podcast. Make sure to check out all their social media as well, boot_crew_media. And also want to give a huge shout out to all of our great sponsors, Rally Cap Brewing, Blaine Loop with Keller Williams Realty, Workbox LLC, and the House Bar in Tigerland. Thank you guys so much. You are what keeps us going, and I'm calling it. We did it on this show. The Rally Salt is going to bring the Tigers to Omaha.
I mean,
I said Omaha.
This is true.
I said the O word.
Omaha. Also, I figured out what the snip snip was. It was from an Office episode.
Oh.
Michael was like, snip, 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 snip.
Oh.
That's what they can't do this year with the quarterbacks. Omaha.
Can't hurt us now.
Can't stop us now.
See the Javen Colvin kid who pitched good tonight, the Coleman kid. Why is he has not played in an entire month.
I don't know.
That's why I was trying to make that point on Twitter to freaking Stephen Miller guy the other day, like come from my throat. Do we need to stop that?
Yeah. Yeah.